Welcome, dear all, to twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. This is Stammer stream, manga podcast, and speech therapy combined. I'm your stammering host, Wensleydale Cheddar, here alongside your non-stammering hosts, Caster UK, Hoven with H, and Dr. Nova. How are you guys doing this week?
Pretty good. I recently watched Fooly Cooly, FLCL, which is an insanely batshit crazy series with really over-the-top cool visuals and a neat soundtrack. I didn't fully follow what was going on in the plot, but I had a good time with it. So,
what's it about?
Okay, so a guy, this kid, who has a sort of a weirdly molesty relationship with his brother's ex-girlfriend, because his brother left. He's minding his own business when a girl with pink hair rides along on a motorbike and hits him in the head with a guitar. And then a weird bump grows on his head, and out of it, a giant robot with like a TV for a face and a giant robot hand come out and start fighting. And kind of from there, like, it kind of becomes a monster of the week thing where he comes across like people who have robots inside, like potential robots inside them, and then has to fight the robots by having the robot with the TV come along, and then he gets swallowed by it, and the robot turns into a cannon, and there's just all sorts of weird fight scenes involving these robots. The series has a very unusual mood to it. It constantly changes between animation styles to sort of just heighten the zaniness. Like, sometimes it goes to like manga panels where it's just like the camera's moving along the manga panels and you can hear the the voice actors saying the lines. Then at one point it does a South Park homage.
What the fuck?
This is by Gainax and by a lot of the same people who did Gurren Lagann and went on to split off to make Studio Trigger. So
I think I need to watch this.
Yeah, you do. And it also has a very interesting soundtrack. It's done by a band called The Pillows, and it just kind of this very ambient, sort of cool J-rock constantly going in the background, which is kind of neat.
You've just reminded me that I recall that Yuri on Ice had a Cartman cameo once.
Did. I did not remember that.
I still have to watch Yuri on Ice.
Good show.
Well, in any case, I'm doing it well.
None of us can top that.
I can try with something.
So
go on.
All right then.
Yeah, I can attempt it because recently the sequel to Xenoblade came out. And
Xenoblade boobs too.
Xenoblade anime styles too.
Oh,
because
is that the one with the very interesting designs?
This is the one where
both interesting design.
Yes, this is the one where they decided, you know what, we had this really interesting art style for the past two games.
X is debatable.
I mean, X, you could at least argue that the skells and some of the monster designs were very interesting.
Yeah.
And Nix is like, all right, so how about this? Now, instead, everyone's super anime, which goes to their proportions as well, to the point that it's actually distracting, because for those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's a main character whose name is Pyra, and there's no spoilers here. You see her in all the trailers. And her design is ridiculous. Like, not only is it like the ridiculous chest proportions, but she also wears booty shorts that are too small for her.
Yeah.
Which is here's the thing, but she's something called a blade, which means that she gets reborn a bunch of times, and apparently she's always been reborn in that outfit, which feels like, after all, this was one of your past lives, not like, you know, maybe pants might work. I'm cold. But here's the thing. What's actually really unfortunate about the game is not the designs, because I could get past the character designs. It's just that Pyra herself is awful. She is this terrible, like... Okay, we joke a lot about it on the podcast a lot. This is the most prototypical waifu character I've ever seen in my entire life. Danganronpa and Persona 3 has nothing on this character.
What, Chiaki has nothing?
Chiaki has nothing. I like Chiaki more than Pyra, because Chiaki actually has a personality sometimes. Pyra is that same Mary Sue character, but just for the fantasy of it. There was literally a moment where, like, all the characters were in the kitchen, and at one point she's standing there and she's saying like, "Oh, do you need food?" And it's like, yeah, why? And she's like, "Well, believe it or not, I'm actually a really excellent cook as well." And I literally in the middle of my living room just yelled out, "Oh, fuck you!" Just, oh, fuck you. I hate her so much. But, and slight spoilers here, so if you're new to the game, skip in maybe 10 seconds. There is another character who we've seen in the trailers. Her name is Mithra. She briefly replaces Pyra from time to time. And on the bright side, which is the low side, she's even worse. So...
Is she the white-haired one, or is she a different one?
She's the blonde-haired one.
Blonde-haired, okay. Oh, I think I've seen her. Yeah, green sort of outfit-ish.
Yeah, kinda. She's...
I'm sorry, I cannot help but ignore what you're saying, because right now in the Stammer stream chat room, in our private chat room, Caster posted a picture of an anime sword with boobs, and it's fucking hilarious.
That's great.
That is exactly what that character is.
I have seen the character designs for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I have no problem with ridiculous boob proportions.
I do when it's distracting.
But like, these designs just aren't good. They're not nice-looking outfits. They're not particularly well sort of drawn. Like, ever since, because the thing is, I really like the first Xenoblade Chronicles game, and I really like the art direction of it. But it's let down by the low-res visuals that the Wii can produce. Everyone looks very glassy-eyed, and the textures don't look right. And I've just wanted to see that sort of art style, but translated into the sort of, the sort of technology that we have with the Switch, or might have had with the Wii U. Stop it, Caster. They
have a Hot Springs episode.
Yeah, they just
because every video game needs a fucking Hot Springs episode.
And with X, you had a really great overworld and monsters, but then everyone looked kind of like hideous dolls.
I didn't think they looked that awful in X.
I did not like the way they looked at all. But Xenoblade Chronicles is kind of a step down from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a step down from that.
Caster, I now need to edit these into the video. You realize that, don't you? You're not making my workload easy.
Our first visual edition, sponsored by Horrible Boob Fit. Here's the weird thing. I agree that normally I can look past it, but the fact is that I
slightly more than look past it, no. But go on.
Okay, well, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this game. Because literally, I thought Mashima Hiro was the director. Because every single time there's a shot, it just sort of, it's like it's a close-up. It just pans out so you can also see her chest.
Yeah,
and
I've
then
seen it,
cuts.
like the downward shots from her tits.
No, guys. The Hiro cannot have been the director of this show. These girls look of age.
Actually...
Oh, no!
Yeah, just wait till you unlock certain blades, buddy.
I do remember some of the outfits in the first Xenoblade game, and while the proportions were less ridiculous, they were very revealing.
Thankfully, there's nothing as creepy as Lynn's band outfits in Xenoblade Chronicles X.
So, I
can hear someone furiously typing now. Like, what does he mean?
I've had a bit of a homemade recording booth done recently, as you may see.
Oh no! Yeah.
Yeah, those who can see me on the screen right now, I mean, but you guys probably can hear me in slightly better audio quality. And in any case, huge thanks to my good mates Bartek and Robert for helping me out with this immensely. This will very much help me in recording for the stream, Benganta, the Fire Globe production staff, and especially World Triggered. Wait a minute. World Triggered? It's an abridged series we do based on the anime World Trigger, which in turn is based on a manga also going by the name World Trigger. You know what's also a manga? One Piece.
I was really hoping.
Here is how the story goes. We find out about the treasure in the Grand Line. There's no doubt.
No, this version has blood in it and people die. Speaking of people dying, One Piece.
But is Nami shy, guys?
No.
Okay, just because we need to establish that for some reason.
Oh.
Is Chopper doctoring? Is he falsifying doctoring?
Yeah,
He's doctoring, whatever that means.
Is Usopp blank? Because like I never heard what that final one was.
Usopp's doing his marksman thing.
Chopper's
That's
doing
the
that.
lyric they wrote.
I know, but there's Chopper, and then there's one afterwards that I never really caught.
It was Usopp's doing his marksman thing. Sanji's cooking, Chopper's
was
doctoring.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I could never like. Chopper's something. I could. Chopper's.
I
yeah,
thought it
yeah.
was originally. I thought it was Chopper's got the ring. I'm like, what?
My pressure.
That's the form the fourth Rumble Ball turns him into.
God.
I would have loved the 4Kids dub so much more if it just turned into random fan fiction, like basically a highly paid abridged series.
What
You
was
mean-
that show that they got the
Ghost
rights
stories.
Ghost
Ghost
Stories,
for?
stories.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Neo Yokio is basically an abridged series. Just that is the series.
I've never watched it.
I still need to watch that.
It's a great one to watch with friends and alcohol. It's a laugh.
So guys, do you think Pound deserves the big Toblerone?
I think Pound does deserve the big Toblerone.
Pound! Oh, Oda, why?
Yeah.
Why,
Damn.
Oda? This is Pound. This is the guy you will introduce as the selfish guy in a hole that wanted them to go and get him juice. And
Now I really care that he's going to die. That he died.
Wow.
And then you have a scene. Then you have a panel of him smiling at the fact that his family is happy, married, and has seen his grandson.
In the face of
As
his
the
death.
blade swings towards his neck.
In the
You
face
can
of his
see
death,
the-
he got a Will of the D moment. He smiled
It's
in the
okay,
face of
guys.
his death.
It's okay, guys. Mr. 2 will come and save him. And so will Pell, and so will all of Frankie's friends who totally fell in that hole. And
No,
They're all secretly Kaido.
no.
We
The
had,
white-
we had
moment-
one fake out
the
of
war
all
is happening.
To bring it back to serious discussion of the chapter, two fucking awesome moments I loved. One was "fuck you, my ship is amphibious" from Beige. That was amazing, and the other one was Sanji lifting up the cart with the cake with his foot. That was also great.
How are we meant to get the cart on it? Got it.
I gotcha.
I also quite enjoyed Pudding being Sanji for Sanji. They are adorable. And so are Beige and Chiffon. And so is Vita, who apparently has a crush on Sanji now. So much for no romance in One Piece, eh?
Which one's Vita?
Uh,
Is he the?
That's Beige's right-hand man or whatever.
Oh,
the one with the tongue.
He's the German fanboy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Chiffon being Sanji for Sanji thing. I'm honestly hoping she doesn't stay around because I can see this getting boring very quickly. If
Oh
that's her
yeah,
only character trait.
I don't think I won't enjoy it outside of this arc. Like it's a great gag and sort of reversal on that trope. Or like you kind of playing around with that attraction trope Sanji has. But I don't think I will get tired of it if it's extended beyond whole cake.
Oh, I hope so. Oh, yeah.
So, did you guys notice that Lin apparently once looked like Dr. Kureha?
Yeah, this was
I
weird.
had noticed that.
This is weird because you look at how she looks as a little girl,
Yeah.
then you look at how she looks as an adult, and then she just went to this in between.
Thing is, Oda's given drawings of what Big Mom looked like when she was younger before, and I thought he had just decided that redesign the character to make her this one of his monster women, because before she looked more like this in his previous sketches. So it's really interesting. It also explains to me how she had so many husbands. Because I was like, did she just kidnap them? Because honestly,
that's what I assumed.
Yeah, you say Dr. Kureha. Dr. Kureha is in the nose and chin. The rest is Nami. So it's interesting in like Big Mom. Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far to say it's just Nami. We don't really see much of her, and she has a very different facial structure. So
Fair enough. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I am going to be interested in seeing what this transformation, how it worked, and if it's just art.
I think it's just Oda's art being weird.
No, maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe it was just how Pound saw her. Whatever.
That's a possibility.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and so on. I don't know.
Sure.
It doesn't sound like something that that Oda would do, but I don't know. It's an idea.
Mm.
I've just realized that Sanji's moustache keeps disappearing.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It wasn't present on one of the volume covers of this arc, and like the one where Luffy and him fight, it was like, oh damn it, Oda, why'd you have to slip up there?
Oh, that's really funny.
I get that sometimes in faraway shots you need lack of detail, but in the one panel where they just escape from the island on the ship, Sanji's in the little corner in the dialogue box, and he has got the moustache, but then in the next panel where there is a close up, he doesn't have it.
Nothing's ever going to beat the Bleach one where the eye patch kept on disappearing. But this is quite funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Oda's usually consistent, so yeah. It's just like my attitude in Dr. Stone is when it comes to science. So speaking of Dr. Stone, shall we move on to Food Wars?
What is there to say besides it was kind of boring, really?
Yeah.
I can say some stuff because I know some stuff about this dish, and that it's disgusting. Okay, look. Maybe I get it. It probably is like a delicacy in Japan and stuff like that. I think like the fried potato pockets are the most disgusting thing in the world, personally, and I don't get it. I don't get how this is going to beat Saito's dish.
It looks good though on the page. Through the visual medium, that's one of the dishes from this arc that kind of look the most delicious, at least to me.
It looks good until you understand that by the nature of the dish, fried tofu is never actually crispy.
No, I can't stand it.
It's like chewy and wet and soggy, and then there's like a mochi sauce on top to make it even like softer, and I'm like, that just sounds nasty. Just like when you consider all the textures involved, it's just like, and then like put a bunch of butter all over it. It's like, this just sounds horrid.
Yeah.
So I get what the intent of this chapter was. Just to show why Soma joined the Asami administration, but it makes the unfortunate mistake of the Asami administration seeming even less of bad guys.
This has been my problem with the Asami administration for the entire thing. They have a point. I can see why people would side with them, and yet the series has never addressed it. They've always been the evil guys. They've always been the guys that's like, no, we must stop them. There is no argument to be had here. Just like, there really is. It's a really interesting dynamic that you completely kicked under the bus.
Yeah, it's missed opportunity most of all. Yeah, the Soma versus Somei duel was pretty boring, but to be fair, I expected it to. I mean, what I wanted to ask is, what is up with those last few pages? What is even going on with the Kinokuni and Kugasi? What is happening?
Like they're just meeting up and then they bump into someone.
Yeah.
But
pretty much it.
Yeah, but what are they panicking about?
I'm gonna assume it's a joke, because I can't really think of a single character who we know of to show up here to elicit that reaction.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Unless it's something like, Rindo, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be competing. Meh.
Looks a bit burly to be Rindo.
I know. Like, wait, Saito, but if you're here, who's fighting Soma?
It's a Royd Lloyd, everybody.
It's just it's just one of those. Thing is, I'd expect to see this scene in Promised Neverland.
Yeah.
It's Mom.
This is exactly what I noted down. This is a Promised Neverland cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's like a person turned up. Oh my god, it's amazing. So start next chapter. There was no reason why you had this reaction.
Oh my god, it's a gust of wind.
Person you know.
It's a gust of wind. It must be monsters, everybody. Oh no, wait. No, it's not. Also, one line that I kind of... It kind of makes me think that okay, this fight was supposed to mean something more, but the author
meant to mean something more.
Just didn't know what to do with it. Soma says, I think once, something along those lines of, boy, ideals sure mean something, don't they? I understand that completely, Soma.
I'm meant to be having an argument about ideals. I'm not, but I guess I should put this in here.
Can that just be the tagline for Jump? Like, under every single issue of Shonen Jump, just says, Shonen Jump, caption, boy, ideals sure mean something, don't they?
In most areas.
You know, man, I really miss enjoying this series. Because I remember just at the start, it was just like neat to just find out how creative the person's dish would be and get a cool over-the-top reaction for that. And I've just burnt out on it, and it sucks.
Yeah. It's just kind of this series would maybe work better if it was shorter, because it's you have to top your creativity all the time, and in this basically one type of gag that this dish is so good that I'm having a very weird fan servicey visualization of it.
Yeah.
I just think it sounds disgusting, and there's nothing that this mangaka can do to prove to me that this wouldn't taste horrible.
I think my main problem is the fact that we're trying to do this big climactic tournament arc when we had to skip half the arc build up to it, so it's got no weight.
Yeah, that's
I would argue I don't think the issue is the tournament. I wouldn't necessarily. I would say a lot of the issues is that I think it's not being handled the best, personally. And I think some of the matches are. Like, I think some of the matches have been very good. I just think that it's unfortunate that we've had 3 in a row that for various reasons we haven't liked, because we weren't big on the Aldini one for the most part. the
I was fucking.
the Momo versus Megumi match was good until we got to the conclusion.
That's the thing. I had moments in the Momo and Aldini match that I was like, "Oh, this could be going somewhere." Whereas this, I haven't even had that. It's just been dull.
I think it's just because those were two matches where we at least had the idea that maybe something different could happen. But in this match, we're all like, well, I mean, Soma's gonna win. We all know that, right? So it just feels a little less. It's a lot less like the Fall Classic, where you really did feel like anything could happen.
I will look fondly on the Megishima flashback, but apart from this, I don't really recall a lot of excitement. So yeah, in a way, this might be suffering from a bit of a lack of build-up, but as Caster says. In any case, shall we move on to My Hero Academia?
Yeah.
So that's chapter 162. So Gran Torino captures the portal bloke, and what was his name?
Giganta thing. I had myself on the page, and then I skipped ahead.
Godzilla.
Gojira!
Wait.
Sorry. Gigantomachia.
That's what it's called?
Gigantomachia. Gigantomachia is his name.
Wait, but isn't that the name for the thing that appears at the end of the?
Oh, sorry. I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, I was talking about the portal guy.
Kurogiri.
Oh, okay. Since the villains in My Hero kind of sometimes mesh together for me. I wish it did the One Piece thing and reintroduced its various villains in kind of little boxes.
The Oda box.
Yeah, the Oda box.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say something positive about this chapter. The Horikoshi is really good at portraying characters as they bottle up their emotions, then the emotions building up and bursting open. Deku finally asking Mirio to accept his quirk was a great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
How did you like this scene?
I thought it was a very touching scene, personally, but yeah.
I liked the moment, but Deku blaming himself for stuff was nice. I liked everything that went into it. I thought the execution could have been tidied a bit. It made Deku feel very whiny and self-centered.
In what way?
Because for the first time, he's gone out to a fight without breaking anything, without doing it. So he's essentially done his first fight and everything's gone perfectly. And none of this is really his fault directly. And so he starts trying to blame everything on himself, which is a nice way of doing things. Deku is a person that takes a lot of stress onto his shoulders and has blamed himself for a lot of what happens.
Oh.
But the fact that his entire chapter is him trying to make himself sad and take blame on things, it's not executed well. There's a lot of him bringing up things that are interesting subtext, but going to Mirio and bringing out all the things. It's like, so there are all these things that you should be sad about. Why aren't you sad about them, senpai? It's just like, dude, the guys are trying really hard to be excited and cheerful.
Like, dude,
try and bring him down.
Like, dude, don't you get it? Your mentor's dead. Yeah, I get it, but I'm trying to. And you don't have any.
Get it?
And you don't have any quirk. Yeah, I've got that, but I'm trying to. And your bunny's dead. Wait, what?
Yeah, and it's like all these things, and I feel a bit bad about it. It's like, dude, that's my quirk and my mentor. It's not your place. This isn't about you, dude.
But your bunny. Stop talking about my bunny.
It got hit by a truck.
It was
all my fault.
Do you want to see it? Why did you take a picture?
Oh, I didn't take the picture. Brings out a box.
The thing is, I kind of understand part of it since this whole business started when Deku realized that Miria was going to be the successor of One for All until All Might met him. So in a way, I can believe that it would be in Deku's character to blame himself for Night Eye's death. And I don't think it's out of malice that he's trying to bring him down. I think he's just trying to apologize.
It makes sense in Deku's character. It makes sense narratively. It makes sense. Bookending this, it also makes sense. Everything, like, I can see this working, but the problem is the way it's done. It doesn't make Deku's. My problem is the execution, not what's going on here, because there's a way to do this.
That manga, I need to pour out all of the, the feelings and spell it out thing.
That might be it as well, yeah.
I don't think Haruko. I don't think the intention is to make Deku seem like he is trying to attract attention. I think this is meant to be genuine pathos of him feeling guilty. It's just that the way that these kinds of manga, particularly shonen manga, tend to frame these kinds of big gut spills, it just does lead to it feeling that way.
Yeah, and especially it's in a way kind of realistic since he is also just a kid.
Yeah.
So
and,
he could be just
and
careless
and wow, it's been a while since we saw Todoroki and Bakugo.
Yes.
At the end, it's like, oh, you guys again.
Guys, these characters are popular in polls. I haven't forgotten about them. Seriously, guys. I still reckon my favorite picture my favorite panel in this entire chapter is the one after Mirio saying how he's happy and fine, and everything's completely good, and then you just get the flashback image of him just crying with Aizawa.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like. It's him literally. This is the brave face I'm putting on. This is what I'm feeling inside, but I'm going to get through this.
Yeah. Right then, and it seems that maybe Night Eye should have watched Inside Out. Then he would know the importance of sadness and why sometimes the answer is not to smile. Really?
That's going to be really big comfort to him, isn't it? Like, listen, Mirio.
Hey, dude.
You're gonna cry your face off for a few hours, and after that, I'll be dead. That wasn't comforting at all.
Oh God, I love if the character of Night Eye was. He's completely honest all the time with his foresight.
Some BoJack Horseman-esque nihilist.
Oh, I want to see that hero. I want to see the hero nihilist who's just got these absurd powers, but doesn't believe in anything. Just like, I could catch you, I could bring you in. It wouldn't make any difference. There's 1,000 of you out there. I'm not making.
Yeah, it's kind of Tamaki.
I could stop you from being killed by the villains, but we all die as he looks off in the distance away from a bank robbery. Like, how did you pass any of these exams?
My quirk is super powerful.
My quirk is baby memories.
I can make anyone remember their baby memory. Think for a second they're Ray, then take them back to normality, and they just like, I never want to be like that again. I will improve my life.
It's like, this is the worst crossover ever, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
Oh God! Now I would like to see Ray and Tamaki in a team. Actually, scratch that. Ray, Tamaki, and Aizawa.
Yeah.
the ultimate.
Yeah.
I want
ultimate
to see
final.
Aizawa and Ray, and just Aizawa telling Ray to shut the fuck up and grow up. You're not special, kid. I go to a school with people with superpowers. You are not special.
But do they have their baby? Okay. Moving on. We're going to be stuck on here forever.
All right then. So let's move on to Black Clover. So guys, just to start on something positive, it's Ben. Ben has come back. Ben Fank. He's become important.
It is a fun name.
Yeah. I hope Brad and Eric come back too.
Now is it? Yeah. Go on.
So I'm not going to be on the episode next week. So there's something I want to say just in case this does happen, because I at one point I posted about a sort of response to a weekly manga recap saying why I had a problem investing in Black Clover, and to me it was because every single time a legitimate threat was posed, that threat was countered by the end of that chapter. And I sort of talked about how it was hard to build tension because tension has to be built chapter to chapter instead of arc by arc, because every chapter ends with a victory for the good guys, which happens here as well. And I'm saying that next week this guy's going to get his stuff completely pushed in by Mira Leona. I'm not necessarily saying that. I am saying, though, that if this happens, then this has been one of the worst villain groups I've ever seen. They have never been intimidating.
This is already one of the worst villain groups I've ever seen. Next chapter's not going to make the difference.
I don't agree, guys, because this villain's name is Liar. And Liar is kind of similar to Usopp. So guys, it's Usopp. I'm so happy Black Clover.
Fuck off.
Black Clover is finally gonna get good now that Usopp's in it.
I really like these. I really like these bad guys because one of them kind of reminds me of a cat, and Cat is best Monogatari girl. I don't even know what villains you're talking about. For all I know, none of them could be like a cat.
I really like these guys because they have eyes, and Kurokiba also has eyes, so I'm really big on these characters, guys.
To go off Nova's point, I think what completely uninvested me in the series and made me kind of put it down after about chapter 80 was like two major strikes. The first was with Leash, who I assume is still meant to be the big overarching antagonist.
He's totally going to come back and kick some ass, guys.
Yeah. And, like, the arc was meant to make him imposing, but all they did was have him get clowned and then just retreat like a bitch.
Clowned 4 times by 4 different people.
Yeah. Then, like, the thing after that, and the even more, like, damaging thing, was when Asta injured his arms, and there was a whole chapter of kind of him on his own while everyone was rushing to find ways to help him. And, like, it cuts to him, and I think, oh, is this him going to be showing an actual moment of weakness? Maybe, like, kind of... we see him for the first time breaking down and crying because he feels completely helpless and then picking himself back up. That would be neat. That would show some real range as a character instead of just, I'm happy and shouting all the time. But nope, he bounces right back instantly. He's like, oh, I'll find a way to fix it. And it's just, are you actively trying to make this character less interesting and relatable? Like,
well, yes, just a robot? That's complex, and that's not what the kids want. I don't fucking
evidently not, given how well this ranks in the weekly rankings.
I can't talk about this chapter. I don't want to. It makes me... I'll talk about this chapter and next chapter next.
Wow. Cut down on it.
I'll just mention one thing. So, why is every character calling Kirsch a creep? I mean, I get that he's a weird, self-centered snob, but I don't get the creep thing. Is it just because he is feminine, or I mean, hell, for being camp here, this guy's got nothing on Sunny from Toriko.
It's because he got beaten by the main character in the arc, but hasn't become a friend. Therefore, he's become.
Before he still uses, he's like, yeah.
I will catch back up with Black Clover once I'm caught up on Blue Exorcist, because I kind of want to have my mummy's worth with Jump, and it is kind of join in. I can't join in these discussions, so yeah.
I mean, just another positive thing. I think Mereoleona's dialogue is pretty fun to read. Especially her just roasting Asta, literally roasting Asta is pretty fun to read as well.
She started pissing me off though. The fact that she came in as an interesting character and has just become a Mary Sue. Just like, I'm literally the most powerful being in this universe. I no-sell everything that's aimed at me to the point where every other character that tries is made worse by being in my presence.
It's kind of what happens every single time a captain shows up. It's just like, fuck you, I'm awesome, and then they just murder everything.
I thought Yami was okay, because Yami was able to look like he was trying when he was fighting properly. But yeah, most of the captains are... Yeah, it's Black Clover. I don't know why I still expect good writing.
Aww. Aww.
So speaking of good writing, question mark, shall we move on to The Promised Neverland?
Okay.
Okay.
I was waiting for someone to say no and just get on to Dr. Stone.
Alright, end stream!
This chapter introduced a potentially interesting and cool character, so that's neat, I guess.
Yeah, so...
Introduced a demon in a top hat. I'm very happy about this.
It's kind of more of a fedora than a top hat, but yeah. So the scans call him Archduke Lewis, and now I can't imagine him as anyone other than Linkara.
See, that's much better than my joke, because I was going to call him men's rights activist demon.
No, do you know what my favourite thing is? On the first page, when they talk about the type of humans they like to hunt, it very much implies that demons think that human breasts are made of muscle.
I don't know. I just hope he's about to go eat someone. He's about to go eat them. He takes his fedora and is like, "Milady," and then he just eats their face.
So I'm just assuming that these demons don't know much about humans.
I mean, I don't know. The way it's said in the scans is, "I want a fatty one with little muscle."
Wait,
Okay.
How is it said in the official translation?
Well, it's the way that it's more the way they draw the image when they look like you stripped away the skin and you're just showing the musculature of the body. And they've put breasts on it, and I'm not sure why.
Oh, do you mean the really pronounced pecs?
Those are breasts. Those are too pointy to be pecs.
I don't know. Have you seen Goku?
I do not want to search Goku pointy pecs.
Yes, you do.
You forgot Goku at the end of the freezer arc, where he had his shirt ripped off.
I'm not. Those are breasts. But honestly, if those are meant to be pecs, there is something wrong with the art in this series.
Yep.
Okay, let's come back to breast at the end of the chapter, because I need a segue for We Never Learn.
The end of this recap.
But let's
segue back to Xenoblade, guys.
Let's always come back to breasts. Right, but yeah.
Please don't name the episode that.
What's wrong with this kid's face? I can't get over this. His eyes keep on growing and moving up and down it.
I hope we'll see some more personality out of them, but I think they're just supposed to be unemotional, is all. And that's why. And in one of the images, we see Emma with bigger irises, because she's not afraid at the moment. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what else. It's an interesting chapter.
Top hat demon seems cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, actually, Hey, Linkara starred in Nostalgia Critic's Les Mis review and sang a parody of I Dreamed a Dreams. So this ties into Promised Neverland being Les Mis. Archduke Louis is Fantine.
No, we're not doing this. Okay.
Do you hear the demon sing?
No!
I come from. I'm number 601 from Grace Hill.
Prisoner 24601, I'm going to eat you, num num num. Oh, fucking no, some shit.
Okay, so to move away from singing,
No.
there was an interesting thing here. Like, okay, these kids are taken directly from houses. This is their first introduction into this hell world they live in. And, like, that's interesting. But there's not much else in the chapter about it.
We have some promise of some more new characters, though. So
I can take and leave new characters right now.
yeah, but okay, yeah. I mean, Kayoshiro has some work to do on interesting characterizations that we can get behind it in little time. So
yeah, so far he's had 4 interesting characters, and one of them's apparently dead. 5. Mom was okay too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good chapter though. So
Yeah.
So speaking of breasts,
it's a Takamoto chapter. Yay!
Let's move on to
Speaking of
We Never Learn
breasts-
chapter 42.
Speaking of breasts, let's go on to the chapter of the harem romance series that was more romance than harem for a change.
Yeah, like this was a really nice chapter for Takamoto, which I'm very happy about. Learning that, you know, because her swimming team loses and she's trying to maintain a peppy attitude and try and encourage her friends over, you know, kind of crying about it herself. And that's just really sweet. And also there's a panel at the end that I can just save to my computer forever.
Which one?
The one where she asks him to with me tonight, of course.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Ew.
This was a really nice chapter. For once, we never learn. Like when I saw Yuiga turn up at the start, I was like, okay, begin the hilarity. Everyone turns up to watch her, even though she didn't tell them. She told them not to turn up. It's like, no, Yuiga actually gets to see Sakamoto in her favored environment for a change, and yeah, no, we actually see them connecting on a proper level. I'm waiting for it in the future to bring for Yuiga to bring up the words that she gave to her junior to her when she's struggling to study, because it's an interesting divide in her mind that if she just tries at sports, then she can succeed, but she's got a block in her mind that she can't succeed about in studying, which doesn't exist. So educationally, that's going to be a really interesting moment.
Yeah.
But it's just, you actually get Takamoto and Yuiga bonding on a non-sexual level, which is surprising considering they're in swimsuits of the entire thing.
And there's a lot of wedgies. A lot of wedgies.
Considering how many panels have swimsuits on them, there were less.
I've just sort of come to terms with, like, there's just no nerve endings in people's backs in this world.
Yeah.
Just no one ever notices.
Also, I love my favorite panel in this is the one where her friends are just moving everyone along, so to give you Takamoto and Yui get some time alone, because you've got the crying girl who's getting better. The 2 of them who know what's on, and you've got the third girl who's like, wait, what? Why are we leaving Takamoto here?
It's probably like, all right, look, I know you're having a really emotional character moment. This ain't your manga. Get the fuck out of here.
Speaking of this, this really reminds me of the Haikyuu chapter. It's astounding how similar it is. There was a chapter that had the third-year captain of the female volleyball team losing the tournament, then bottling up her feelings to encourage the second years to do the best next year. This is exactly what happens this chapter.
It is amazing seeing the 2 third years who aren't going to swim anymore just sitting on top of, I guess it's a park or a shrine steps, and just being just like, they're not their side characters, but this is their moment.
Also, I don't think I'm pretty sure at the end she's not asking him like, do you want to bang?
It would be
like...
fucking hilarious if it was, but that's not happening. I want to know what the fuck's gonna. I want to know what she meant. I want to see the fallout from this moment about the idea of Yu-Gi-Oh acting weirdly, her clarifying, then her realizing what he thought she meant. I want to see that moment.
Oh lord, I've just gotten through the fucking Blue Exorcist stuff where they're misinterpreting what they mean when they're asking each other out for the dance, and
Oh, that was a slog. That was where I dropped it the first time.
Hey,
blame you.
Hey, Eureka, do you want to go have a nice platonic viewing of the new Justice League movie?
No, that is impossible. There is no Justice League. There is phlegmatic and angry viewings of the Justice League movie where you rant at how the Flash falls into Wonder Woman's tits.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? I didn't see the movie.
There is a scene where the Flash stumbles and trips into Wonder Woman's tits.
It's Justice League a harem manga now?
I don't know. I think that's not even a thing in America. That's the only place it is manga and anime that I know that trope exists. It's what the fuck?
If this movie starts with an anime-esque opening, like Watashi-wa, just League-dono, something like that, this could be my favorite movie of all time.
I want to see
And
anime
there's your title, Watashi-wa,
where his
just
eyes are
League-dono.
half the size of a mask.
To do a topical for any anime fans that may be watching. Smile, sweet, sister, sadistic, surprise, service, Superman. None of you guys will get that. But
Nope.
Some listeners might.
I got the reference from Twitter. I still don't know what it is, but yeah.
It's a show called Blend-S. It's a pretty funny slice of life thing. But yeah, we never learn. It was good.
Yeah. So shall we move on to Dr. Stone? Dr. Stone? Dr. Stone? Dr. Stone?
Okay, can I go on a bit of a diatribe for this one?
Okay.
Because this chapter is literally everything I love about this series. It's it's that thing of everything coming together in the arc into a really satisfying conclusion. You have the, Gen coming back from earlier. He felt kind of like a bit of an appendix to the arc, but he comes back in and plays a role. Chrome literally using his own sweat and tears to finish him off is fucking awesome. Fucking Senku having his little moment where he just calculates how long it will need in just a second. Just the fact that the whole reversal on, hey, this could be a trick, but you don't know for sure thing that Magma pulled on them earlier. Yeah. Senku throwing that right back at him. The fact that Magma is totally dumb enough to kind of buy into that and would use that as a opportunity to his advantage anyway. And then just the moment of Senku just saying, hit it, as soon as the fire starts, and he hits it and it just erupts everywhere. This chapter is just, I love that moment where all of these elements just kind of converge into one payoff. It's such a good feeling. Which is why, for me, personally, this was a perfect chapter. Now, I think someone has some killjoying to do.
Hashtag not my science.
Okay. So, if you listen regularly, you'll know that I keep track of how accurate the science in Dr. Stone is and regularly fanboy over it, because it's normally very apt. And I'm not going to say that the science in this chapter is wrong, because it's not. It's definitely possible. It is so implausible, however, that I couldn't get this chapter. I could see exactly why this chapter was great, but it couldn't stick with me because it's like, you are so lucky. This is him. So it's showing us that the three of us work together can make this scientific this science reality. It's like, you got so fucking lucky. The fact that Chrome can hold it so steady at the end of a lever that his sweat and tears can make us a single surface when even his heart rate going through his hand should have destroyed it. The fact that magma just like magma got set on fire with that effect, it's like, yes, that would completely work if he was completely dry and not, I don't know, been sweating from 3 different matches and all his clothes being damp. Also, it was just stuff upon stuff upon stuff with just all the science. It's like, this is possible. This is bullshit, however.
You know what? This is the same series where a guy just punched a tiger, and like the whole
that's
thing
biology.
was,
I don't care about that. But...
and then the whole thing was them being able to
accurate.
lever themselves out of the gas lake.
I mean, come on, guys. Japanese high schoolers can punch lions. That's just science.
Oh, they can. The lion will then eat them, but they can definitely punch a lion.
Oh, no. Lions are allergic to... I'm not going to make that joke.
I don't care. I love this chapter. I mean, Chrome is a wacky, impossible shonen science and resolve. Which by the way, yeah, sure, why not? Rule of cool. I can buy the fact that thinking about Ruri made his heart go completely still.
Yes, because all the blood left his hands.
Yeah, Senku's calculations and again using Usopp's spell essentially to effectively defeat Magma, not manga.
And just like that 2-page spread of him holding steady and it just going Senku science, Gen's magic, Chrome's tenacity, through that combined powers, the light created fire. It's just such a cool panel. It's just such a cool 2 pages.
I also love how it happened in the semi-finals. I really like that this manga can surprise me so effectively. I don't usually expect shonen manga to be scientifically accurate, and I'm amazed at how accurate it could have been thus far. So
Yeah.
I don't mind it since Dr. Stone is a great story otherwise.
I would not have complained if this was in any other series, but I think it's like One Piece where I would complain when the writing's a bit off par.
Yeah.
If the science in Dr. Stone is a bit off, it rings out to me because I know it can be perfect.
Yeah, I completely understand. Yeah.
I can't wait till they have mechs, and then we have to bring up the 20th century point of like, these are impossible.
Oh my god! Like my flat nerd. Anytime you watch a show with giant robots, he's always like, "Well, mechs are actually bad because they're impractical, and tanks would make more sense." I'm like, I don't care. Mechs are cool. Leave me alone.
I'm not gonna lie. My favourite thing is the where they press a button and then the robot pulls its finger around the trigger on a gun. So why the fuck did you add this? It's just like, this is so... you literally pressed a button that could have shot the gun. You pressed a button to make a hand that you made for your robot pull a trigger that you made on a gun to fire it.
Why do we make our robots ambidextrous? What's the point to that? Why do we give our robots hands?
That's my favourite one.
That would have been a perfect segue to Robot Laserbeam, but I still want to talk about the cover page because it has all the male characters in cool poses. Suika just standing at the back, and then we have Kohaku at the far end posing for an idol magazine. It seems like her legs are just flung in the air. She's flashing her panties, which she apparently has now, and she's supporting herself with...
Yeah, she doesn't... Yeah. That's honestly...
Maybe she's going to star in the same magazine as the girl from Cross Account.
Oh, God.
Doing a photo shoot with her. Crossover, guys.
I am actually just like...
I don't
I
even get
honestly
it.
thought that...
Then Kohaku can finally know the feeling of entering a series that's a piece of shit.
I
The crossover
don't
between
even
one
know
of the best
how...
series in Jump and the worst series in Jump.
I don't even know how this posture would be any comfortable for her, since she has no support. She just supports herself with one arm, but it's stretched in such an angle that how is that training for her or whatever? I don't get this.
All of her, from the way that is angled, assuming she's turned her hand around, otherwise, all of her weight is currently going through her wrist. That does not look enjoyable.
Yeah.
Also, this does make me ask the question because I honestly didn't think underwear existed in this world.
Yeah. So speaking
Also,
of...
okay. Oh yeah, you're talking about robot.
No. You go on if you have something else to say.
Yeah, there's a bit of a side tangent. I don't know if any of you guys read Seraph of the End.
Nope.
Not willingly.
I don't blame you. It's not the best, but I keep up with it because I got into the anime. I had a friend who liked yaoi who got me to watch it. And
you're not selling this to me. It's not making it sound better.
Yeah, this chapter did something really, really weird. So to explain, Seraph of the End has a bit of a tone problem in that it tries to go for all of the factions are morally grey. It's kind of grimdark, but then it also has like your ragtag group of main characters with your peppy main guy, and that all kind of comes to a head here, where kind of the secondary main character, his friend / potential boyfriend, who is also a vampire, because there are vampires in this series. It's all about post-apocalypse where, people have been turned into vampires, and humans are fighting them. And he's explaining to him, how, you put too much trust in people easily. These guys are literally doing genetic human experimentation. You are too naive. And then, the series just kind of goes, yeah, but he's MC-kun, so it's cool. And it's like, hold on. You just made a legitimate point and then just kind of ignored it. Why? And it's just kind of played up as, no, it doesn't matter, because he cares about his friends and stuff. And I'm like, what? There's a dissonance
Friendship! Here. Grimdark, friendship! Shonen manga with the wrong writer trying to do grimdark is always the funniest thing, because they always fall back on tropes because those sell that don't fit with grimdark.
Yeah, this
and it's like he literally goes into
This is
and
exactly
it's so funny because he's talking about how I trust the captain who's doing these experiments because he's my friend. Then they just walk into a room and find this fucking four-winged angel being tied down with big black sort of cords with blood streaming from its eyes, screaming, and I'm like, what?
This really reminds me of the scene when Urza was I think sexually tortured by Kyoya, and then it was fairy tale, so naturally we returned to wacky hijinks.
I try and forget that happened.
I have a very special podcast planned for Fairy Tail at some point, whenever people can make it.
Okay, I'm up for it.
I'm up for it as well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the panel where speaking of tonal shits, I'm just looking at the panel where Chrome is thinking about Ruri, and then the next panel shows him nosebleeding, and I'm just thinking, okay, he's thinking about his girlfriend, and then he's nosebleeding. If you took those two panels out of context, this would be hilarious.
But that's how he stabilizes the spear, obviously. If there's no blood going through his hands, big.
Yeah, you've made a good point. So speaking of good points, that's somewhere that's in golf. So shall we move on to
Robot Laserbeam OTP?
Okay, sure. 36, right?
Okay then, so it's chapter 36, and you know what, guys? Dorian Green is the one shining light in this boring mess of a manga. This chapter, he lands his ball into a pool of sand, but then he just swings the club as hard as he can, causes the equivalent of a freaking grenade explosion, and breaks his club while managing to land the ball on the green. And he's so dopey while doing it. I kind of like this guy. Hopefully he's here to stay. Did any of you guys read it?
I skipped through it. He
now.
looks like a very fun character. I like the look of him.
I'm a bit annoyed that he plays how he plays golf. How I used to play golf. Somehow he's good.
Hmm? What?
My way of playing golf was I'm gonna hit it as hard as physically possible and hope it goes in that direction. It didn't.
Aww.
Yeah, it's a golf manga. It's a golf manga. I have trouble getting into manga in general. I'm not getting into a golf manga.
And my philosophy is that you can make anything interesting if you try. But yeah, it's not working generally. But Dorian Green is a bit of an exception in this case. I kind of like him.
I'll only enjoy it if it turns out he's got a painting in his attic and it turns into a superpower series.
Oh god. So that's going to do it for this week of Stammer Stream. Thank you for watching, either on my YouTube channel or live at twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. We usually try to record on Saturdays at 10 AM Eastern Standard Time, 3 PM GMT, and 4 PM GMT+1. Although next week we are going to move to Monday or Tuesday because we're having a podcast with Grail. You can follow me on Twitter at Cheddar for updates on the stream on Penganta, Well Triggered, Friendly Faces Everywhere, Iffy Reviews, and many other projects. Follow Milo at Hoven with an H for anime waifus, Cabal Hijinks, Cabalcast, which is definitely coming, guys. Trial by Guilty Crown, a podcast he does with Caster, and Trial by Death Note, a drunk cast he did it with me. You can find both in the YouTube description below. Follow Grail at Nuclear Android for gaming tweets and world conquest and stuff. Follow Dr. Nova at Jonah Left Snow for the Danganronpa podcast, which you now can see on the Team ODAR main channel. Also, he's writing a novel, and so is Kester. How's it going, guys?
I'll finish it someday.
Ditto. It's going well. I essentially had to rewrite my plans for the book, the first short story, because it was shit. But but honestly, that's progress.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's a lot of me writing it and then knowing I'm gonna have to rewrite the whole thing.
Essentially, as I'm going to probably copy and paste Kevlar's entire adventures out of the forum. I'm kind of tempted to rewrite some of it, but I know it's not worth it, and it's going to take up so much time. So, anything you guys would like to throw out there?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Justice League is my favorite harem.
Yes. Essentially.
It's nearly Christmas.
Yay. That is true as well. I've got one more announcement. So some of you may know that some time ago I got a few parts in the comic dub of an AU of Undertale called Inverted Fate. So the second part came out very recently, and I voiced 3 minor characters in it. Well, I do just a few whimpers for one of them, but someone in the comments called them cute, so it counts as a major achievement for me. You hear that, guys? I'm the cute host. Also,
Fight. Sorry.
Also, the comic's good, so go check it out. It's at the Fireglow Productions channel. That's youtube.com/c/Fireglow Productions. Alright then, if that's everything, so once again, cheers for watching, and we will see you next week. Take care.